Hello and welcome. For many, the new year offers the beguiling possibility of transformation, a hope that things will improve, circumstances will change, and that people will achieve new purpose and greater heights. But if you're a member of the India Against Corruption movement, then 2012 has started with this existential question, which is 2011 as good as it gets? That's because the anti-corruption crusade led by Anna Hazare that swept the nation's imagination all through 2011 ended the year seeming to have lost both support and steam. Its opponents would say that the movement is in its death throes. My guest today is someone who will throw light on where the movement goes from here. Please welcome the iconic Kiran Bedi. Kiran Bedi, Happy New Year.
Same to you, thank you.
Fair to say that the existential question before the movement is where do we go from here at the start of this year?
Well, March should see the passing of the Jan Lokpal bill or an effective Lokpal bill, or it will see huge conflict, because the one which has been passed by the Lok Sabha is a very weak bill. That's not what people agitated for. That's not what we worked for. That's not what mass agitation was. We didn't agitate for creating jobs and weak Lokpals. Right. We agitated for an effective Lokpal.
Right.
Now, so Rajya Sabha is amending to make it effective. So Lok Sabha has passed a weak bill. Rajya Sabha is raring to pass an effective bill. So what you could see is a huge conflict. You might just see a historic joint session. So I think March is going to be exciting as a budget session. Budget plus Lokpal.
What happens in the upcoming state elections? Does the India Against Corruption movement campaign against the Congress? Because that is what Anna had said finally at the Mumbai rally.
If it was going to be a campaign, it would have been campaign against any political party, which was not for a strong Lokpal bill. So it's not Congress alone. It was any political party now. See, the Congress stood out because Congress is the party in power.
Right.
Because it engineers, it introduces, it has the numbers to pass as it did. It did bulldoze its way in the Lok Sabha. But what happened in the Rajya Sabha? So it wasn't against, it was in fact, had Anna been on the campaign trail and we'd all been with him, we would have informed people what happened in the Lokpal bill, who voted for what. And we would have left it to the judgment of the voter to decide now who do you want to vote for. If you still wish to vote for people who had not supported you for Lokpal, it's your choice.
Am I right if I say that today what you're saying and the way you're saying it is different from what was being said as late as December, just a few days ago, less than 2 weeks ago?
I do not know whether you see a difference or not, but what is consistent about is that political party in power has the power to change, to introduce and to force things through. That's all that's consistent. It happens to be Congress. It could have been any other party. So this movement is not anti a political party. It is for responsibility of the party in power to drive the change. But it remains that way still.
Right. Do you feel in hindsight, given that we are talking in the new year and fresh start, that the fact that a lot of people started seeing the movement as anti-a party, in this case the ruling party, this case the Congress, do you think that that was something that has harmed the movement or damaged the movement where people's perceptions are concerned?
Well, that's a perception which drew, but that was not it. As we kept saying, you see, we could have said the party in power. The party in power, and that's undeniable. Who introduces the bill? Who drafts the bill? Not the opposition. It's always the party in power. If it's different party, now who brought in the Uttarakhand Jan Lokpal bill? It was the BJP. And we mentioned BJP. It happens to be BJP. That doesn't mean we are for BJP. When it says party in power in the center, that doesn't mean we are against Congress. We're talking about party in power, which happens to be in power, a party in power. In Uttarakhand, it was BJP. When we mentioned that the BJP has brought in the kind of bill, exactly the kind which the state actually needed. We're not a political group. We're all coming from activism, which was truly non-political all along.
But ma'am, if this movement has to gather steam and achieve its goal, which is that Lokpal bill, how do you ensure that this perception that you're not against a political party and you don't have an agenda and you're not a front for the opposition party, how do you get rid of this perception? Because it must bother you, isn't it?
Well, it doesn't really bother us.
It
because
doesn't.
That's what we are, and it hasn't really bothered. We've remained consistent. We've said when, according to a situation, what needed to be said. Where it needed to be blunt, we were blunt. Where it needed to be explaining, we were explaining. We've consistent, and we've been our authentic selves. You attribute a color to us, so be it. But we continue to say we are a tricolor. But you say, no, no, you're more of saffron. Oh, no, no, you're more of green. You're more of white. Well, that's your perception. We are not in the defensive block to continue to add, because our object is to go on with the movement in the manner which that situation needs. Now, at the moment, if a situation needs consolidation, if at the moment a situation needs voter awareness, if at the moment needs volunteer training, that's what it is. So we're not being driven by external perceptions. We are self-driven.
Ma'am, you're saying that there is no change in the way y'all are doing things, and yet what we believe was going to be a campaign during the state elections is now not going to happen, isn't it?
What I'm trying to tell you, Anuradha, is that we are still remaining our authentic selves. We never put on anything then. We're not putting on anything now. We still hold on that whoever is in power has a responsibility to drive a good change.
No, I get that.
That's
but the plan of campaigning in the 5 states is not going to happen anymore.
Not for the next immediately 4 weeks, which Anna has been advised. And UP is colder than Delhi. And if Anna couldn't be at Ramlila grounds in December, he can't be traveling around in UP in February. So at the moment, I don't know. At the moment, 4 weeks are off the table as far as the doctor is concerned. Things change, things evolve. Let's see what happens. But I think there's been a very clear, larger comprehension. Explain now that you're into a larger platform. If any one of us goes, it will be more focused on voter awareness of what happened in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, which we did not have prior to the parties declaring their stands. Do you know certain stands of certain political parties were actually clear only when they spoke up in Rajya Sabha? We did not know it till then. Like the approach of Trinamool, of the complete approach of the left, the clarity with which BJP spoke, we did not know. Truly, we all came to know who stands for what when they spoke on the floor of the House, because that's the final word. And I noticed there was clarity, or there was even a shift. In certain stands, there were a shift. Like, for instance, the BJP's shift over Lokayukt, that to us was a harder shift. We never expected Trinamool to become so strongly federal, and we didn't expect the CBI to be so clear on the CBI, and we didn't expect the Congress to be so much for a weak bill the way it introduced. You know, these things became clearer.
So things became clearer. Did the onus that you put on the Congress also shift a bit? Do you feel now other parties need to be responsible in different ways to make the Lokpal happen?
I would say it's shared. Earlier, they were in the driver's seat. Now they have a lot of passengers along who also have a role to play. So now, if there would be a platform, then it will be more players. Here is the main player. Here are the other co-players. So there are co-players.
So the focus of the IAC will now be on the co-players going forward?
Whatever the strategy would be, that would be known over a period, because we haven't really met with Anna and to really read his mind, because he's still recovering. And he hasn't called for a core group meeting yet. So I think that will unfold by itself over a period. But whenever it will be now, as I use the word, voter awareness. To my mind, the crux is independent CBI with one uniform pattern for a Lokayukt. And you see, in one hand, you have the BJP on one side. On the other hand, you don't.
You don't, exactly.
And you have, on one hand, Congress for uniform Lokpal. You have, but it's weak bill without the CBI. So one party is giving you one thing and the other party is giving you the other thing. No party is giving you everything, what truly this country needs. So which side am I? I'm nowhere. I'm still everywhere. and I'm still nowhere as a civil society.
There are eminent jurists, eminent citizens who believe that, you know what, glass half full is half full, don't look at it as half empty, which means that even if the government's Lokpal bill was deficient or was not perfect, it's more than we had before, and it could change and evolve into becoming better or more effective going forward. Where do you stand on this comment?
If I would still compromise as a person, as an individual, not Team Anna, as an individual, I would still choose that half which makes my CBI independent, and then wait for the Lokayukt to come, if I were to. But if I would get a Lokayukt independent, but doesn't as a weak bill at the top, to me that's bad. That's not what I asked for.
No, you didn't. But what if it is? It's a half a roti. It's a bad half.
That is a bad half. If I have to be compelled as a citizen of this country to be choosing a half, then I would choose a CBI independence than choosing the Lokayukt. Though you need both, you cannot compromise on either. But if you say, no, you got to choose between the two, otherwise you had it, then I'll say, all right, please set my CBI free.
What were some of the learnings last year for you as an individual?
Well, addressing the kind of public meetings, listening to people, the kind of passion, the kind of anger, even hostility right on your face, by people who wouldn't understand what you're doing, or attributing false motives, or telling you that without reading the bill, criticizing the bill, without knowing the facts, attributing a lot of stuff to you. That was the first time a tolerance had to be increased. A lot of things had to be swallowed. I had not swallowed that and tolerated it before because it never happened. I had never been doubted earlier. In my life, March of year before last, I was voted as the most trusted woman in India by the Reader's Digest. Not one person ever came up to me and said, I don't trust you. But during this agitation,
your integrity was under fire.
Was under question. So when my integrity, which is my strength, which is my backbone, started to be questioned, I had to swallow a lot.
So do you think the issues that you were exposed to last year, which is, you know, the travel, the tickets and the claims that you billed for higher amounts, although you actually used lower amounts, and then use the excess funds for your foundation?
It wasn't for the foundation. It was for travels for certain causes, for which no travels came. No cost could be compensated. Right. For instance, so many travels for India Against Corruption movement. I never asked anybody. It was fortunately these savings which came and were pitched in. So that means no money was raised for that. Fortunately, that some money was lying in the kitty as saved in that right. account, and that could be invested into travels. Right. So not once earlier was my integrity doubted.
A lot of people would say, you know, this is not corruption, this is not wrong, but you know, it just seems a little lacking in grace. Okay, people may have said that. Then there was the accusation that you...
What is ungraceful about it? I don't understand. This is exactly, it's like to find a fault, you find a fault. In the end, you're talking about a few thousand rupees, because in the end, that's what is left, because that's also spent back to a cause. I think what's ungraceful? On the contrary, it was a perception.
Ungraceful is if I had invited you to come and speak at a seminar that I was organizing, and if you told me, look, I may travel how I want, but I will claim this as my fare, then I would know about it.
Many were. Okay. Many knew, and they knew that she was saving. In fact, many knew that she was saving. Okay. In fact, many appreciated it. Now, that did not make news. Those people who appreciated it, saying, after all, they were dropping me back. They were seeing whether I was checking into economy or was I checking into business. When they see, and they knew that this is going to India Vision Foundation, this is going for a cause, they in fact appreciated it more, that here she could go with a great, wonderful dinner on the table if she had traveled business, but she's going downgrading for a cause, not to, and all my speaker fee always went to the foundation. All travel money went to the foundation. They knew that she saves every penny for a... And you know, that's the key. You cannot run NGOs flying business classes. You cannot.
There were two other things that, that were personal attacks on you. One was the fact that, this Mizoram posting and your daughter's seat, because of the quota system or whatever. And then at the Ramlila Maidan, where you wore the famous ghungat and you mocked MPs, and therefore the breach of privilege motion that they wanted to move against you. Now, the interesting thing, Kiran Bedi, is that you are iconic, right? Everybody knows what your career was like and what kind of breakthroughs you've made, not just for women, but for the work you were doing. Yet in this last year, because of these reports and these accusations made about you, because of some of the things you've said and done in public, there was a sense of, what's happened to this lady? She was our role model. Is she going cuckoo?
No, when you get into these mass agitations, everybody's not on your side. That's the point.
No, but people who were on your side wondering if...
No, they're still there. In fact, that number may have increased further, but you also have very strong opposition too. Because after all, you were taking sides. You were stating the fact. You were not being politically and diplomatically correct. You were stating the fact. So you had to have very clearly people on your side saying, we're with you, because you were airing something which we've been wanting to be aired. And the other saying, how dare you say what you said. So you clearly have admirers, passionate admirers and friends, and you also have people say, now we'll take you to it, we'll settle with you. So you, for the first time, create another group which doesn't like you.
Arvind Kejriwal in an article on January 5th said, and I'm quoting him, "The anti-corruption movement is at the crossroads today. Where do we go from here? We are conscious that a wrong decision at this stage could prove disastrous for the movement." Do you agree with this?
This is a reflection of his own mind.
Yes.
Well, you see, he's a very good thinker and he's a good strategist. So he's probably looking for good ideas, which I think he's got generated some exciting ideas. We would be consolidating these ideas and picking these ideas and taking it forward. So he's a strategist. So I think he's looked for people's ownership. Obviously, this movement is not belonging to few people anymore. This is a national movement today. And you have visible people and you have the invisible people. So therefore, I'm glad he's tapped into both visible and invisible and put the ball in the court of the people to say, contribute, offer your thinking, and then we will then see what matters. I think it's a very good strategy.
Were you disheartened when you went to Mumbai and you saw that at the MMRDA grounds where the rally was held, it did not show up the kind of people that you all had got used to seeing in Delhi?
I think that's another perception. The first day, to my mind, I've noticed that the movement takes its own time to pick up. It takes time to warm up. And there were a lot of other factors, again, not within our control. It wasn't an easily accessible ground. Number one, it's not accessible. Two, it was a 3-day fixed. It wasn't an indefinite fast. So there wasn't an emotional concern that Anna indefinite बैठ गई, चलो चले देखने, and share, oh, Anna 3 दिन के लिए है. So, third thing, there were a lot of bomb scares. There were bomb scares circulated around. There were messages which we were being asked by the youth कि अगर हम आए और अगर हमसे कोई पूछा और अगर कोई गिरफ्तारी हो गई तो क्या हमें पासपोर्ट नहीं मिलेगा, क्या हमें नौकरी नहीं मिलेगी. There were a lot of things which were going on. So I think there were a lot of inhibiting factors. So well, that's it. I wasn't disappointed. I took it as it came because every person, to my mind, whoever had come who really wanted to come.
There have been media reports that Anna's long time and old colleagues are not happy with the way the IAC is using Anna, or has co-opted him into the movement. And also these people continue with that accusation, which many others have made, that there are strong RSS connections that the IAC movement or some of its members have. Do you think that this is something going forward, something that the IAC has to worry about, that Anna Hazare may not want to be part of this movement? Is that something?
These are all allegations.
Okay. Is that a concern? Is that
these
a fear?
are all allegations. Again, allegations. You see, if you keep alleging and it keeps getting repeated, it starts sticking on. But Anna is a very neutral person. Anna has had friends across the board. As a social reformer, you work with everybody, you work through everybody, and you work for everybody. That's what Anna has been, as far as I've understood him. But he's never sided with any political format. But he has been working for everybody. if somebody alleges him that he belongs to group A or B, that's their allegations. But Anna is very inclusive. Anna is not hostile to people. Anna is not hostile to any faith. Anna is not hostile to any ideology. He's an inclusive man. And after all, anti-corruption, is it a monopoly of the individuals of India against corruption? Can't anti-corruption be an issue whether it's of a Muslim, Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, Isai? It could belong to anybody. You may belong to any ideology. Can't you speak up for anti-corruption for your country? So my mind, when you do a mass agitation and it's a cause, if you are with that cause, you have every right to be a part of that movement. So be it. The only thing is that platform remains neutral.
You've written your story in this book called I Dare, right? And in the introductory note, in the preface, you say, I will be history one day, right? When you say I will be history one day, do you mean that you will be gone one day or that you will be remembered one day?
Well, I don't have a choice but to be remembered one day as the first woman of the Indian Police Service. That anyway, whether I like it or not, is going to be. And what's wrong? I'll say, I think it's an amazing destiny which happened. That is history when I said I will be history one day. But I certainly looking forward to not a dependent, long, old age life. I would like to go on my feet. I like to go when I'm not dependent on anybody. I like to go healthy.
Kiran Bedi, you've made history. It's lovely talking to you.
Thank you.
I wish you all the best.
Thank
it's
you.
also interesting that I feel that the IAC, we are going to see a mellower version going forward. I could be wrong, but that's my interpretation.
No, maybe not a mellower. I wouldn't say it will not be a mellower, but I think it's a phase. But I still cannot seal it today. This is as of today. When you decide the program, things may have been different.
So when opponents say death throes, the IAC is now, finished, it's totally, it's their optimistic thinking.
Oh, Anuradha, India against corruption now as a part of every Indian who followed the movement has already been seeded. I think IAC is a part of inner seed now.
Kiran Bedi, we wish you all the best. Thank you.